Hi, my name is Ron. I'd like to share with you my experience of growing up in the Christian church and going from belief to skepticism to unbelief. I recently went through what you could call an identity crisis. I no longer identified myself as a Christian. Within the church, there is a phenomenon called falling from grace. Growing up in the church, I constantly witnessed individuals who went in and out of the church as they struggled in their own experiences to live by the standards taught in our congregation. But for many of these individuals, their core beliefs remain true, that there is an all-powerful, all-knowing being to whom we must give account of all the things that we've done on this earth. I had experienced the same process throughout the years. It was a continuing struggle to remain in the faith. During those years, in no significant way did I ever doubt the existence of God. I wasn't a terrible person. I didn't do drugs or even drink. I didn't steal or hurt another human being in any way. But because of my upbringing in the church, I always felt that I was falling short of being in God's good grace. One day, alone in my house, I began to pray and ask for guidance. I fell to my knees and in tears consecrated my life to the service of God. Soon after, I enrolled in a seminary because that day I felt the calling of God to the ministry. I did 4 years of biblical studies. Meanwhile, I was serving as a youth pastor. Soon after graduating, I moved to the assistant pastor position in my church. But it was in the course of those 4 years of studies that I began to think about religion in a new light. As I studied the Bible, chapter by chapter, I could not believe the things I was reading. The God in which I grew up believing was slowly disappearing. Chapter after chapter, I read about a God who commits genocide, condones the killings of others on arbitrary rules, promoting misogyny, racism, slavery, and plunder. At first, I tried to dismiss these things by arguing to myself that God must have had a good reason of why he would participate in such events. Like any good Christian, I asked for guidance, but I couldn't hold on to those ideas for too long. And so, my way of thinking evolved from acceptance of the test, to inquiry, to realization, and finally a conclusion. If these were the acts of a God who's supposed to be benevolent, all-loving, all-knowing, and all-powerful, then this God must not be real. Some people who are still in the church and listen to my story would probably say things like, "You were never truly a Christian." Others could just dismiss it and say that I'm just going through a phase. But I can tell you, as someone who grew up in the church and whose most family members are Christians, letting go of those beliefs is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. There are some people who say that atheism is just another form of religion. There's others who say that to be an atheist, you need a lot of faith. None of that matters to me. What really matters is that I was able to read the sacred text for myself and realize through its inconsistencies and constant portrayal of a vengeful God that in no way was it a good source for me to base my moral values. If you're someone who's going through the same things that I experienced, I'm not here to convince you or convert you away from your religion. What I do want to encourage you to do is that you do sit down and read the text for yourself. Like anything else in life, don't let someone else convince you to believe if you can read it for yourself.